everyone. This is Rose here, and I just wanted to share a little bit with you today about my perception of the whole Doreen Virtue thing. I feel it's really important because I studied with her in 2002. A good portion of my clients know that I worked with Doreen. I encouraged them to buy decks of cards and perhaps even purchase books that she's written. And in these past 4 or 5 years, I've been going through my own personal journey and questioning. Actually, ever since I left my full-time job 10 years ago and went full-time into my spiritual work, I have gone through my own inner growth and evolving as a spiritual being and a facilitator for others, especially someone that has put themselves out there as a psychic. Those are the key words. In fact, Doreen was the one that encouraged us to use those keywords and then eventually stopped using them herself. But fortunately and unfortunately, that's really how I've attracted a good portion of clients up till now, was the word psychic. Because let's face it, when you're doing intuitive work, you are using your intuitive psychic abilities. And I still feel I use them when I facilitate for others. I believe in my heart our psychic intuitive side of our nature is our connection with God. It's a connection with our higher self and the higher self of the person that we're working with. I want to share for myself personally that when I was working with Doreen, I got in the habit of calling various archangels and ascended masters to assist me daily, as well as my higher self, my soul, my spirit, and only highlight-filled beings. And I got to the point where I could hear them quite well audibly. I think I was even hearing them audibly before I took the course with Doreen. But it ended up that at a certain point in my journey, what I had noticed was that they started to back off for me personally. So what I mean by that is they were always there helping me, but they didn't talk to me as much anymore, because I really felt that they were wanting me to start living my higher self expression here on earth. And I believe that that's why Doreen has been guided to go into the direction that she has. But I don't think you necessarily have to make a transition like that to be able to access your God self or your higher self. When she's saying she's talking to God, God is basically, from my understanding, is your higher self. It's your God self. It's your connection with oneness, Holy Spirit. You can call it a whole bunch of different things. But I will tell you that for myself personally, why it was a little tough to hear Doreen going to Christianity was because I was raised with the Roman Catholic religion. So I already made my transition. I had my periods of questioning. I found some contradictory things on my path, and that's what led me to grow more on a spiritual journey and not necessarily a traditional religious type of an expression of myself. I find for myself personally, I've had so many people always try to impose what they think is right for me or what I should be on my path, that a good portion of my journey is all about freedom. The freedom to find my connection, the freedom to know that that I can have that connection whether I follow one particular way or another. Now, myself personally, I listened to Doreen invoking the archangels for I don't know how many years at a Hay House convention, and at the end she always said, "God bless you," and she always brought Jesus into the whole thing. So for myself personally, I question, how could she just say she met Jesus now when she experienced Jesus I don't know how many years ago? So I did write her a letter. I'll be honest with you, I wrote her a letter in February, I think it was January, February this year. I think that she released another video because, of course, she was getting backlash from other spiritual beings, be it people that had studied with her or went into questioning her transition. And I did say to her, is it possible? Do you think it's actually possible that through the law of attraction, by being in a church where everyone believed in a specific type of Jesus, that there is the potential that the Jesus that you experienced is the Jesus they collectively believed in? And I also reminded her that she still was connecting with Jesus in her work prior to that. So where my confusion was, and my concern actually for her, was there's another thing that I had said. It was about even reading the Bible, because, you know, and the Bible that she's reading, you know, I reminded her that by virtue of the law of attraction, which she had mentioned many times in her previous work, that the more you focus on there being a devil, the more you focus on there being negative entities that are trying to do this stuff for you, the more it's going to look like that's your truth. And I also did remind her that like, as I remember working with her, I worked with her in California a couple times, and I remember her putting her hand out and asking for the rain to not come for us when we were doing some work outside. So like, I know that she knows that she's a powerful being. So I was just reminding her that, you know, you are a pretty powerful woman. You have manifested some pretty amazing things. Please, just out of love for yourself, don't think that you have to be crucified now that you've been studying things like that, that your connection with God, you have to be so much rejected to be able to go in this direction. So that was one piece of my journey of, and a little bit saddened, because the truth of the matter is she did sort of put herself into a position, not sort of, she put herself into a position where she was saying, it's my job to wake all of you up. It's my job. I'm this and that, or whatever. Now, I listened to that, and I was grateful for it, and I enjoyed it, and I know for sure I resonated with her. I love the fact that she was all dressed up and this and that, whatever. Some of my other spiritual teachers hadn't done that as much. They were a little more natural. They didn't wear makeup. They didn't do their nails. They didn't like to dress up. That it appeared like that. Maybe I just met them at a time when they were more natural because they were working with me. Now that I'm facilitating for others, I can sort of get it. But at the time, I was working in a casino, and I still love being a girl. I love my sparkly jewelry. I love all that stuff. So when I first saw Doreen, I was like, oh my God, wow, like, you know, I can relate to her. You know, I could really relate to her. The fact that she still liked to be a girl, like she wasn't trying to be like too hippie, chickish type of a thing. And so that for myself personally, I really did relate to. And the fact that she, you know, acknowledged the fact that we were sensitive, that, you know, and things like that. And that really helped me learn to embrace that part of myself instead of looking at it as a problem with myself and things like that. So I do want to share, though, there was a certain point in my journey where I think I better give a little bit more background. So when we were in the Angeltherapy practitioner, one of the guest speakers was Dolores Cannon. I think I've mentioned that in one of my other videos. And Dolores Cannon had all of her information there, and I purchased a good portion of her books at that time. I also was put into groups. There were various amounts of us. There were certain groups, and we were put into groups because they said certain attributes. You belonged in this group, and this group. Later on, I would put it all together and understand that that was Dolores's information that Doreen was disseminating out. And I think that Doreen had a wonderful way of conveying information that perhaps other people might have had a difficult time accepting if it was someone else saying it. So I think she was very good at doing that, and I respect her for that. But in that group, one of the groups that I found myself that I resonated in, let's just say that if you know anything about Dolores Cannon's work, you know, it was basically just admitting that we were volunteer souls, that certain of us may have come from the angelic realm, certain of us may have come from the fairy realm, certain of us come from other planets, and things like that. And I had put myself in a group. The one guy was like, you don't even know yourself. I'm like, I know myself pretty darn good. And it ended up that, I'd have to say a year or two later, I ended up being a helper at a Hay House convention in 2006. And I think it was a bit of a vacation for me before I would have to take care of my mother. My mother had needed to go into a retirement home. I had wanted to take care of her here in my own home, but you know, some old childhood stuff, like she was just wanting to take over, and I just couldn't allow that to happen. So for the best for both of us, I manifested a retirement home a block and a half away, which was pretty amazing, and a whole legion of people helping me, which was a gift from God for sure. And I do believe that in my heart. Anyway, I ended up hearing Gary Renard, and was one of the spiritual teachers that was at the Hayes convention. As a helper there, you get do a few things, and you get all the CDs complimentary. So whether you saw the speaker or not, you would be able to listen to their teachings. And Gary Renard was a Course in Miracles person. I found that I very much have resonated with the Course in Miracles teachings. That's why I resonated with Doreen. I resonated with David Hawkins and Marianne Williamson and all of them. And eventually I would end up doing a Course in Miracles myself, because quite frankly, you get tired of listening to everyone else's interpretation. And I find for myself personally, I found that maybe I misinterpreted their stuff. Until you do it yourself and apply some of the things, I do think that as we grow, we see and hear things in a slightly different way, especially on our spiritual path. That's why you can look at a spiritual book now and glean certain type of information, and then a year or two from now, after you've gone through some different levels of growth within yourself, you can go back to that book and see something totally different, or even more is available to you. So that's what's so exciting about being on the spiritual path, because as you keep growing and evolving, the information keeps unfolding and becoming more for you. So anyway, Gary Renard did one of his contributions to humanity was the disappearance of the universe, and his job was to simplify or bring to light some of the A Course in Miracles teachings and what Jesus was conveying, that's what I mean. Doreen had done A Course in Miracles, and that's all Jesus's teachings as well. I mean, the guy tries to get through to people in any way that he can. So anyway, and according to A Course in Miracles, the only thing that's real is love, and everything else is an illusion. And the beauty in all of that is you'll find that there are other people who have near-death experiences. They say that love, the only thing you can take with you is love and knowledge. Dolores Cannon had found that out with her work, and she never mention once A Course in Miracles teachings, that the only thing is, love is the most powerful force. Even in the Bible, I could have swore they refer to love all the time. Love one another as yourself. Okay, so where I was a little bit confused about Doreen was her voice was used in the audio version of A Disappearance of the Universe as, I think it was Persa, and in there is a line in there that says angels have never manifested into form. And I have to admit that when I heard that, I was very confused, because of course the advocate, the person that I had studied about angels with was of course Doreen Virtue, and here her voice is saying an angel has never manifested into form. So I went through a period of questioning, and I went, oh God, what if I'm wrong? Like, what if this stuff is wrong? Like, because I think a lot of light workers could get really lazy. Now, what I mean by that, by being lazy, is, okay, so you go into this group and, Doreen tells you now that, oh, you came from the angelic realm, you came from the fairy realm, you came from here. Well, and then they don't do their personal work, because I still think we have agreed to do some deep personal work on ourselves. I know I did a lot. Like I said, so you know what? I'm not going to let, maybe it's true, but maybe it's not. I knew coming in that it was my last lifetime, but I also know I had lots of weird, challenging stuff happen to me in this lifetime. So I thought, gosh, for my last lifetime, this sure feels like a little bit harder than I would have anticipated as a last lifetime, type of a thing. And then I came here to help thousands of people. I think that the number with thousands at that time, because if it were any bigger than that, that probably would have scared the whatever out of me. But, and so I thought, you know what, I'm going to do my work. So that's why I decided to commit to A Course in Miracles, and I did my forgiveness work. And I ended up at a certain point in my journey, I noticed I kept meeting people who had killed me in a past life. I can't tell you how many people I had interacted with that had killed me in a past life. And I'm like, at a certain point, I was like, oh my God, like I have way too much, like way too much people that had killed me in a past life for this one to be my last life. And then I got led to Dolores's work again, which I'd let go of because I threw myself into other teachings. And then that's when I realized that, perhaps maybe she was right, that I had maybe taken an imprint from other souls. It just made sense to me. And actually my higher self and the council that I'm working with basically had told me the same thing, that I had agreed to take the overlay from other souls that have unfinished business with others, that may have had a difficult time forgiving them, and knowing who I was, and I was a bit of an older soul, that I would be able to forgive these people in cases where maybe the others might not have. I know I'm going a bit out of a side, but I'm just trying to tell you that some of my work went connected with Doreen, flew apart, connected, flew apart, connected, flew apart. So now we have, I've come to that information. I'm doing my journey. And at a certain point, I noticed that my angels they're not talking to me as much for me anymore. They're talking to me for my clients when my clients come. Well, what I would also notice is I really didn't feel peace about telling them, this is going to happen, this is going to happen, this is going to happen in your future. I know I used the keyword psychic. I know that, I was connecting with the angels. But I also had so much wisdom and knew, that I was connecting with these higher universal principles, that to facilitate for them and take away, I'm going to say, take away their power and say, this is going to happen, this is going to happen, this is going to happen, would actually be disempowering them. So what I've really felt in these past few years is my work has grown into being more of my higher self connecting with their higher self, and with the assistance and guidance and love of all the beautiful beings of light that I work with, all the high light beings. And I'm just always trying to guide them into the direction of their higher self, where their higher self wants them to go, or perhaps they need to clean up some stuff with that relationship before they can fully let it go, or bring in a new experience, or let's get you healing that relationship with your old boss before you move on to a new place, because you're just going to bring that energy with you anyhow. So I feel in my heart I had already made the transition that Doreen feels like she has to make with converting totally to Christianity. That's where I went. But, I was already doing that, because I do feel like some of my work has been very parallel to hers. I've been guided to take on extra animals when I, whatever. But, obviously she was rolling in the bucks. Like I did it under different things. We'll talk about that some other time. But there were a lot of times where I was getting guidance that she would be disseminating out. So I knew that I always looked at that I was heading in the right direction, truthfully. But in this case, I also looked at it that way too, but I didn't necessarily have to become a Christian to do that. I believe that Jesus is one of my teachers. He's the teacher of the Course, and I fell in love with Jesus years ago, reading a book called Love Without End by a woman by the name of Glenda Green. I fell in love with him then. He manifested into form, and he taught her all these things, and he has red hair, and the picture is Lion and a Lamb, and I just... but it was just some of the things that he said to her and the beautiful things that he taught her made me really fall in love with him. But for myself personally, the only way that I can actually feel peace and not go into total judgment about Doreen's transition is I've come to realize we are moving from the third dimensional reality to the fifth dimensional reality. I believe that it goes in stages. I feel sometimes that I live a little bit more in the fifth, and then sometimes I move back to the third, and then I float in between different alternate realities in between to facilitate for some of my clients and to connect with some of my friends and my loved ones. What I feel in my heart is that Doreen has had to, in this reality that we're in, that I am in a parallel reality with her, because there could be another reality where I'm doing way more and touching way more people's lives, and Doreen is still doing her light worker work, like from the old Doreen that I know. But in this reality that I'm coexisting in with Doreen, her light is required as a Christian. So that's how I've learned to come to peace with this, is that in this parallel reality, or a split off, like, because every time we supposedly make a decision, one part of us goes this way and the other part of us goes this way. And in my reality, where I'm existing right now, and Doreen is doing what she's doing, her light is needed that way and my light is needed this way. And so I told her in my own way. I just said, I love you. I appreciate whatever you did, however you contributed to my journey. You're a piece of my journey. You're not all of my journey. I've already done the religion thing. I can't do it now. I'm sure something good will come out of your experience, and I look forward to see it happening, but I can't go with you where you're going. I have my own mission, and I have my own way to contribute to others, and I don't feel that I necessarily have to go in that direction to get there. So for anyone that I facilitated for, then I've encouraged you to purchase her books or cards or things like that. First of all, like, I love all her old stuff. I do. I love her Healing with the Angels. I think that it's totally emanating, like, everything out of it refers to God. What are you talking about? Like, there's God in all of it. God, angels, God, like, almost everything written there is God, angels, God, angels. So, and then the fairy deck, I love the fairy deck. I feel from my, and then I love the mermaids. I love all her old stuff. I believe in my heart what happened was, this is what I feel happened. Doreen was ready to retire. Her husband decided to separate from her. He got greedy, wanted a lot of money. She had made a lot of money. She was probably thinking she didn't necessarily have to, and then what happened was he wanted a lot of money as alimony. And I think personally, that's got to stop from being behind my head because that doesn't look right. I think personally what happened was she went, I got to make this money and I can't really make it from some of my old stuff. So I think we're going to have to, I'm going to have to make some of these decks. And that's when she started doing all that tarot. And now there's nothing wrong with the tarot. And, if you see my other video, you'll see it's not that there's something wrong with the tarot. And that's why she did positive cards with the tarot. It's just that in that Masters, Life and Teachings of the Masters of the Far East, I had read that is just, you have to be very careful when you're doing the tarot because it can affect the other person's subconscious mind. So myself personally, I like using the oracle cards because of the fact that they're always pointing positive, always pointing positive. And for myself personally, I know for a fact when I was young and I would do the cards, the tarot, and if I wasn't in the right headspace, and then I would do the tarot, and then I would remember those negative cards, I would actually create more negative things for myself. And the years later, I would find that out when I found out that we create our own reality. And you go, oh my God, why am I doing that with those cards? Because then I just help to create more negative things. That's why I really like the positive oracle cards, because they're always pointing you in the love direction, always pointing you in the positive direction. There's so many things in our life that are always pointing us in the other direction. So it's really important for us to have tools, wonderful, beautiful tools, books, cards, anything you can get your hands on that are always pointing you in the positive direction, the positive direction, the positive direction. And that's why I said to her, I said, do you really think it's a good idea for you to go to a Bible where they're and fear stuff? Now, according to all of the other spiritual stuff that I've studied on my path, the only thing that's real is love. We have chosen to experience fear here on planet Earth. It doesn't even exist in the heavenly realms. All that's there is love. Wherever God is love, man. Love up there. So if all it's love up there, and think about it, and I've said this to people before, think about it logically, and I'm getting religious on you here. Why would God give us free will? Okay, think about it. Create us, send us down here, give us free will, and then say, if you F up, you're going to hell. Well, why even give me a choice? Don't even give me a fucking choice. Like, just send me down here, tell me these are the rules, you break them, you're screwed, Like, I don't even know why why would you even give me a choice if you're going to punish me anyway? It just doesn't make sense. It really doesn't make logical sense when you think. I mean, it's a simple little thing, but why even give me a choice? Just say, these are the rules, and you have to live within the parameter of the rules, and everything around you has to live within the parameter of the rules, period. you know. Anyway, I know I'm rambling, but so yes, I was hurt a little bit. Yes, I was hurt because I thought, what the heck does that do to our credibility? Like, I mean, like she turned us all into her little angel therapy practice. She says she wanted us to be successful. She wanted us to sell her stuff. If we didn't have products, we could sell her stuff. So here we're all out going, you know, how great her work is. We're selling things for her and this and that, whatever. And now years later, you're going to turn around and say all that stuff was a lie. Like, you know, personally, I'm fine with it. It's just that in my mind, I'm like, I got to make a video. And now I'll do another video that'll explain to you a little bit more about what's happened to me in these past few years, some of the challenges that I've been through, some of the periods of questioning. I know that I've shared a little bit here with you about my experience myself personally and with Doreen, but there have been other interesting things that have happened to me on my journey. And that's what I was all ready to put myself out there on a bigger scale. And then I had this thrown at me, and then this, nothing crazy, but just stuff that made me go, maybe there's more stuff I need to learn before I put myself out there. And then maybe there's more that I need to learn before I put myself out there. And I had to find peace within all of that. I had to find peace within all of it and understand it more for myself, and what was being sent to me that was supposed to help me, and what was being sent to me to maybe hinder where I was going, and maybe not hinder, but make me more clear about how I wanted to approach others and my work, and what I truly believed in. Anyway, I know I've gone on for a while, and I'm sure I'll probably lose half of you, you know, with what I hear from YouTube watchers. They have very short attention spans. Anyway, lots of love to you, and I hope that helps you to understand a little bit more about my perception of Doreen Virtue and her part in my journey. Anyways, take care.